There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being a healer. It's the weight of walking into a room and seeing the truth that everyone else is trying to hide. You see the pain behind the forced smile. You feel the tension in a peaceful conversation. Sometimes it feels like a curse. You wonder why God gave you eyes that see the cracks in everything. You feel a frantic need to mend every broken heart you encounter, and when you can't, you carry the failure home with you. But your discernment wasn't given to you to make you a fixer. It was given to you to make you an intercessor. And that is where the shift begins to take form, quietly but powerfully. Because what you have been interpreting as responsibility was never meant to rest on your shoulders in the first place. That deep awareness, that sensitivity to what is unseen, is not a burden meant to consume you, but a signal pointing you towards something higher. You were never designed to absorb every broken piece you encounter. You were designed to recognize it and then release it. In the biblical tradition, discernment isn't just intuition, it's a spiritual lens. But many healers make the mistake of thinking that because they see a problem, they are the solution to it. When you try to fix what only God can heal, you aren't being a vessel, you're trying to be the source. This is why you feel so heavy. You are standing in a place you weren't meant to occupy. And that heaviness is not punishment, it's misalignment. It's what happens when a vessel tries to carry what was never meant to stay inside of it. You begin to pour out without ever being refilled, to give without being restored, to hold what should have been handed over in prayer. That is why, even in moments of stillness, the weight lingers. But the moment you return to your true position, everything begins to change. The pressure eases. The urgency softens. You no longer feel the need to fix every situation, only to respond with obedience. You learn to pause instead of rushing, to pray instead of absorbing, to trust instead of striving, because your role was never to replace God. It was to walk in alignment with Him. And in that alignment, the loneliness begins to transform. It no longer feels like a curse you carry alone. It becomes a sacred calling, one that no longer drains you, but refines you. One, the observation gate. Just because you perceive something doesn't mean you are invited to process it. The practical: when you feel someone's hidden pain, pause at the gate. Ask, Lord, is this for me to speak on, or just for me to know? The godly twist. Most of what you see is meant for the prayer closet, not the dinner table. Learning to stay silent is the highest form of spiritual maturity. This is where many lose their balance, because awareness can feel like responsibility. But seeing is not the same as being sent. There is a difference between revelation and assignment, and wisdom is knowing where you stand. When you rush past the gate, you take on weights that were never meant for you. You begin to carry emotions, fix situations, and speak into places without direction. And slowly, that's where the exhaustion begins, not from the gift, but from misusing it. But when you learn to pause, everything shifts. The gate becomes your protection, not your limitation. You start to discern with clarity, not urgency. You move with intention, not impulse. And in that stillness, you realize something powerful. Not everything revealed needs a reaction. Some things are simply meant to be lifted in prayer, quietly and faithfully. 2. The burden exchange. Healers often suffer from emotional embezzlement, taking the weight that belongs to God and keeping it for themselves. The practical. If you feel the weight of a friend's struggle, physically breathe it out. The emotional grip. Tell the Father, I see their pain and I hand it to you. My shoulders are too small for this. You must learn to be a window through which the light passes, not a sponge that traps the dark. This is where many quietly break, because what begins as compassion slowly turns into accumulation. You start carrying what you were only meant to witness, and over time, that weight settles deep, draining your energy, your peace, and even your clarity. But the shift happens when you stop holding on. When you intentionally release what was never assigned to you, you create space for restoration. That simple act, breathing out, letting go, is not weakness, it is alignment. You were never designed to store pain. You were designed to let it pass through you without taking residence. And when you truly practice that exchange, something changes within you. The heaviness lifts, the pressure eases, and your compassion no longer costs you your peace. 3. The sacred boundary. Your gift is a garden, not a public park. You cannot let everyone's chaos trample your peace. The practical. Set a time altar. Decide when you are on and when you are off. The godly twist. Even the high priests had to wash before entering the holy place. You must have a ritual of washing off the world's discernment so you can return to your own soul. This is where protection becomes intentional, not accidental. Because without boundaries, even the purest gift becomes overexposed. You begin to give endlessly, listen constantly, and hold space without ever stepping away to be restored. And slowly, your inner garden starts to feel like dry ground. But when you honor your limits, something shifts. You reclaim your time, your energy, your presence. The time altar becomes sacred, a space where you are no longer carrying others, but reconnecting with yourself and with God. And just like the priests who cleanse themselves before entering holy ground, you must learn to cleanse your spirit daily, to release what you've absorbed, to quiet what you've heard, and to return to stillness. Because your peace is not optional, it is the soil your gift grows in. You were never meant to carry the world. You were only meant to light it. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by what you see, take heart. The one who gave you the eyes to see also has the hands to hold what you find. There is a quiet relief in remembering that truth, because the pressure you've been feeling was never your assignment. It was something you picked up along the way. You were never called to sustain what only God can uphold. So let that weight fall. Let your spirit exhale. You don't have to grip every burden just because you can feel it. What you see is not yours to keep. It is yours to release. And when you finally allow yourself to let go, you'll notice something shift within you. The heaviness fades, the tension softens, and your light begins to flow freely again, unblocked, unhindered. Comment, I am a window, if you're ready to let the light pass through you without holding the weight. Rest tonight. The world is in better hands than yours.